As we all know, around 71% of the world is covered with water. Thus, it is not surprising that mysteries are waiting to be unearthed beneath the surface. However, there are intrepid explorers out there who have taken matters into their own hands and uncovered somewhat surprising findings when venturing into the ocean's depths. The circumstances surrounding the discovery of some of these items remain shrouded in mystery, but the fact that they were discovered in the deep sea nonetheless sent shockwaves throughout the globe. Let's jump into the sea to find out what mysteries lie inside. Ghost Fleet on Chuk Lagoon. Due to its location on the southwestern rim of the Pacific Ocean, Chuk Lagoon is frequently visited by the remains of airplanes and ships that have crashed in the area. During the Second World War, it served as an underwater cemetery for the service members who did not survive the conflict. During the conflict, the Japanese Imperial Fleet established a camp in the Chuk Lagoon. As a direct consequence, a significant number of the combatants who were killed belonged to the Japanese Imperial Army. The Japanese connection is still quite evident in the lagoon today because there are hundreds of machines and planes that were utilized by the Imperial Army that can be located in the lagoon. Cancun Underwater Museum. Along the coast of Mexico in Cancun is where you'll find the Musa Underwater Museum, which opened in 2009. This underwater museum is the largest underwater museum in the world. The nearby area where it was constructed is home to statues that were positioned underwater after their construction had been completed. The fact that the museum is submerged in water has the effect of causing the sculptures to blend in with natural marine life, such as algae and coral, giving them the appearance of being entirely honest, although they are all works of art created by humans. Musa's mission statement describes the museum's objective as being to show how art and environmental science interact as various means of expression. The mechanism of Antikythera. A shipwreck with a piece of technology that had never been seen before was discovered off the shore of the Greek island of Antikythera. This particular piece of technology had never been seen before. Since it couldn't be fully scanned before X-ray imaging was developed, the discovery of the mechanism left a number of experts scratching their heads. Because of this, researchers could pinpoint the exact year when the item was first created and the impetus for its conception. Imaging helped researchers determine that the device in question was the earliest known type of analog computer. It was put to use in the process of charting out and keeping track of the positions of the planets, the Sun, and the Moon. Apollo 11 engines underwater. The engines that drove Neil Armstrong to the Moon were located in 2013 thanks to an expedition funded and directed by Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. This expedition was the reason the engines were found after so many decades. It turned out that the discovery contained parts of two F-1 rocket engines. Before the expedition caused them to be found again a few days before the anniversary of the moon landing, these had been in the Atlantic Ocean for several years and had been there for a while. A vast thrust chamber was one of the components found. It was marked with the number 2044, the serial number that NASA assigned to the F-1 engine. The land bridge between Great Britain and the rest of Europe. A stretch of land known as Doggerland once connected Great Britain to the continent of Europe. However, this landmass is no longer accessible since it has been absorbed by the water in the North Sea region located to its south. This submerged island served as a connection between the British Isles and the continent of Europe. According to the findings of an archaeogeophysics study conducted on it, Doggerland is believed to have been submerged by the Atlantic Ocean approximately 8,500 years ago. A great deal of investigation and exploration has been carried out to gain a deeper comprehension of the vanished bridge. As a result of their efforts, researchers have discovered that mammoths, as well as hunter-gatherers, inhabited the region. Herakleon's Lost City. People usually think of people working in the hot sun or maybe underground when they think of archaeology, but the people who are digging up the ancient Egyptian city of Heraklion have switched from sunscreen to scuba gear. Laura Gegel, a science writer, says that the lost city was first found off the coast of Alexandria, Egypt in 2000. Since then, it has been the site of regular excavations. Even though it's hard to get to, the city under the water often reveals impressive things, like the remains of a temple, gold jewelry, coins, and the missing part of a ceremonial boat. In the Journal of Egyptian Archaeology, Anne-Sophie von Baumhard talks about some of the most exciting things that have been found in Heraklion. The city, named after the ancient Greek hero Heracles, was in Egypt both before and after the Greeks arrived. The Egyptians called it Thonis, and the city is often called Thonis Heraklion. Some of the most important information has come from things that might seem like nothing special, like walls. Studies of the sediments and the walls show that the city was made up of different districts separated by waterways. One massive temple sat along the banks of an enormous waterway that archaeologists have dubbed the Grand Canal. The Grand Canal connected a port harbor to a large natural lake, sort of like modern-day Seattle. Shipwrecks and maritime artifacts have been discovered within the canal and the ports. Even though thousands of years have passed and the whole city has sunk, minor artifacts have also been found. Amulets and statuettes depicting Greek and Egyptian deities were found near the foundations of various buildings, as well as carved wooden naos, or small shrines holding statues or other artifacts. Amazingly intricate ceramics have been discovered, including a glazed, highly realistic-looking cobra. The artifacts are spectacular enough, but the city's watery fate demonstrates another way in which the discovery benefits modern scholars. Based on artifacts and radiocarbon dates, Jean-Daniel Stanley and Marguerite Toscano determined that the city was founded around 2,700 years ago. It flooded and sank around 1,500 years ago. Based on Heraklion and other cities' current depth, the researchers determined the rate at which the entire coast subsided. The town sank in pieces, with some sections declining faster than others. Located at what was then part of the mouth of the Nile Delta, the city was never far above sea level. Periodic high floods would have hastened the city's demise, but building temples and other heavy structures on unstable soft sediment was disastrous. The town effectively sank under its own weight. Underwater Stonehenge found in Lake Michigan. In 2007, while searching for the wreckage of sunken ships in Lake Michigan, researchers came across a stone construction located at 12 meters. Mark Hawley, who is a professor of underwater archaeology at the Northwestern University of Michigan, and Brian Abbott, who is Hawley's colleague, are the ones who made the discovery. They believe that this structure, similar to Stonehenge, is approximately 9,000 years old. However, it is noteworthy that on one of the stones there is a sculpture in the form of a mastodon, which went extinct more than 10,000 years ago. Because the local Indian tribes do not want an inflow of visitors and interest in their land, the precise locations of the find are still being kept a secret. This condition was placed in place by the local Indian tribes. One of the 5 Great Lakes found in North America, Michigan is located in the U.S. The only one of the Great Lakes that is entirely contained inside the borders of the U.S., Lake Superior is also the largest of all the lakes that can be found in the U.S. It is positioned to the south of Lake Superior and linked to Lake Huron through the Strait of Mackinac and to the Mississippi River system through the Chicago-Lockport Canal. In terms of hydrography, Lake Michigan and Lake Huron are considered to be part of the same system, but geographically speaking, they are considered to be 2 different lakes. Long-faced skulls and a mythical underwater Mayan cave. Underwater researchers have lately investigated a sinkhole in southern Mexico that has terrified local communities, and they have discovered that it is filled with human remains, including elongated skulls. Sac Oyum is a cenote underwater cavern in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. A cenote is a sinkhole formed when limestone bedrock gives way and reveals underground water. The ancient Maya occasionally sacrificed them. Near the ruins of the Maya city of Mayapan, some 40 kilometers south of Mérida, the capital of the Mexican state of Yucatan, is the site of Sac Oyam. Within the city walls of Mayapan, which dates back to the 12th to 15th centuries AD, was a prominent political center. About 40 cenotes were found within the city walls, which likely provided water for the city's 17,000 occupants and was perhaps the primary motivation for its construction. Sac Oyum, however, is not your average cenote, and tradition has it that a feathered horse-headed snake watches over the hidden cavern. Tales have been passed down through the generations in the nearby community of Telcaquillo that describe how the serpent would rest in a tree, spring into the air, twirl 3 times, and then plunge headfirst into the lake. People in the village are so terrified of what they think might be within the site that they refuse to even go near it. Bradley Russell, an underwater archaeologist, and his colleagues dove for 2 weeks to explore the depths of the cenote. To gain divine blessing for exploring the cavern, shaman Teodormio Sansores performed a ritual called Jitzlum, calming the earth, to appease the famous feathered snake, which residents think will seize anyone who ventures too close. On the first day of diving, archaeologists found evidence suggesting the villagers' fears may have some basis in reality. It appears something dreadful occurred there, and possibly this information was passed down through the years, resulting in the development of myths and stories. Upon exploring the underwater cavern, The archaeologists found 2 rooms with bones strewn about the flooring connected by a tube. Scientists have found 10 skulls in the first room and 5 in the second, with more possibly hiding in the rocks and sediment. But they aren't regular skulls. They're elongated, like many others from the same period that has been unearthed. Russell claims that this technique occurred during infancy when the skulls are most malleable, but archaeologists have yet to determine why this was done. According to researcher Brian Forster, some elongated skulls have been discovered, but they don't appear to have been made purposely through cranial deformation. These skulls were primarily found in Paracas, Peru. Because there are no signs of sacrifice on the skeletons, it is unlikely that they were used in rituals. Few artifacts were discovered, and none of them indicated that the people who had owned them had been part of a ruling class or otherwise privileged. Male and female, adult and teenage skulls and bones were discovered, but their whereabouts and motives for being there remain a mystery. This was not your typical cemetery, because most people in Mayapan were interred either beneath or close to their homes. Russell is curious about the significance of Sak Uyam's location. The Maya believed that their underworld, their mythological place of origin called Xibalba, was located to the south of Mayapan, where the cenote is located. Perhaps the departed were laid to rest here before the next round of creation. Russell proposes instead that they might have been victims of the epidemic. They should be kept separate from the general populace. Even if you don't mind the algae, you probably wouldn't want to drink the water, according to what he had to say. This would explain why the cenote is located outside of the city limits. Stay tuned to the unexpected. Let's jump into the sea to find out what mysteries lie inside. Moliniere Underwater Sculpture Park. Musa, the Museum of Undersea Art and Science, is not even close to being the only museum that focuses on underwater art that exists in the world today. The reason for this is that a British sculptor named Jason de Caires Taylor, who was one of the minds behind Musa, made the decision to construct another underwater museum. This particular one was built by Taylor in the Caribbean Sea off the coast of Grenada in the West Indies. This one is actually older than Musa because it was erected 3 years before Musa, and it is just as eerie as Musa. The Moliniere Underwater Museum has a collection of statues that were constructed with real-life casts of the people of a nearby hamlet. That's all for the video. If you want to watch more such videos, then don't forget to like this one and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.